Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. programmed to beat you. have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. to beat you. have you learned? Programmed to beat you. What have you learned? I was programmed to beat you.
But here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Hello, and welcome back to FRLT Tier 2. We do finally return after quite a while. Yes, it has been a while that we have been away. We did Tier 1 last night in Hungary. We come to Canada this race. Yes, we come to the track of Canada here tonight. Here's the track map. Ultimately, 4.361 kilometers, 2.710 miles, 14 turns, 3 DRS zones down the pit straight, back straight, and on the third and final straight around this track. Looking at the calendar, we've completed Italy, Bahrain, Qatar, Netherlands, and Great Britain. We did miss Azerbaijan because of the Euros, but we will be returning there next week. We will be going to Azerbaijan next week in our break, what was supposed to be our break week. But we're going to be going to Canada here tonight for round 6 of the season. I know it says round 7, but it's round 6 officially. And so we are going to this lovely track. Looking at the Constructors' Championship, though, POR have had a strong 2 races, P3, P5 in the Netherlands, and P2 and P3 in Great Britain, bringing themselves in the lead of the Constructors on 98 points. VMV currently sits second on 75, a good return for them with a win in the Netherlands. IFE are third currently. A win in Great Britain did bring them closer. They've gotten 3 podiums in 3 races, and now they sit third in the Constructors. XPG also having a strong race pulls them ahead of ET and SETV2, who of course were promoted, except for ET, who have gone through a bout of 3 bad races. Only 17 points scored in 3 races so far. SET also having a decent race, gaining 6 points. They're getting closer to 6th in the Constructors. AB Academy currently 8th. Not a good race for them after their previous race. They scored 10 points. And also LR making their debut in Great Britain, saw them go to 2 points. Ultimately, we're now ready for the race here. Sorry for that in the bottom left. 13 drivers. Were slightly short tonight, which was not what I was expecting. But I believe my good friend of Cox is finally here. Hello to you.
I am. Good evening. Very on time as per usual.
Yeah, very. Very on time.
Have you been showing off all the graphics?
No, because they were for yesterday. I didn't have time to do it.
Oh.
Sadly, didn't have time to do it, but I've got to invite somebody now, which is so depressing, having to invite people. Just invite yourselves. I wish you could do that. That'd be so much easier. He should be on this list. I saw him yesterday. There he is. Yes, so invited now. So we will get 14 drivers. We should have 15, but we only got 4. We'll have 14 very shortly. Not 100% of the cars. Who's in what? I know LR are in the Red Bulls. SET are in the Ferraris, by the way. SET in the Ferraris. POR are in the Saubers. VMV in the Mercedes. ET in the Williams. AB Academy in the McLarens, of course. And I think, if I am correct, IFE in the Haas's. Yes, IFE are in the Haas's. And Aston Martin are held by XPG. Liam's just joined, so he should be able to come in. Fox is having to take a qualifying ban because, of course, because of a late lineup from POR, because of a change. So let's ride on board with Giggs on his lap. He's the first driver to cross the line, so let's see how he's going to do on his lap. Do you want to take it away?
I'm not in yet, so no, I don't.
No. So making his way around
I will be, though.
turn 1, turn 2. Very nicely so far from the Red Bull driver. You've got to make sure you get that right now. Heading towards turn 3 and 4. Downhill, chicane, quite difficult. You can go over the limit. You can push a little bit too much, which is a problem we see many drivers do a little bit too often. We do see it very much a little bit too often in this, I have to say. Now making our way under the bridge into the next corner he goes, and it's so far very nice from him off for the start there. Very good so far. Heading down towards the hairpin he goes. Difficult braking. You've got to get the cornering right. He goes a little bit deep, but so far not too bad from the man of Giggs at the moment. Z6 getting kicked from the lobby. I'm going to have to re-invite him, aren't I? I'm going to have to re-invite him. day has become quite long. Make his way round to the final chicane. Up to the line comes Giggs. A 1 minute 9.008 will be the time to beat here tonight. That is gonna be the time to beat. Once again, we've seen it a few times. Somebody said about my mic being too low. I'm turning up. Maybe turn up your phone. Who knows?
It's a bit too high now.
Huh?
It's a bit too high now, I think, but I don't know if I'm hearing it through OBS. It's definitely gotten a lot louder in my ears.
Okay, so you might. Well, it's good you can hear me at least.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe just turn down your headphones. SET Murphy, only P2.4. I don't even know how to say this name. Larry? It's LXRY. Why give me such difficult names here tonight? Why such difficult names? I do ever so ask. Why? Liam finally getting in. I think
May I have an invite, please?
let's see if you're showing up on my friends list to begin with, because we've had problems with that so far. People not showing up on my friends list today, which is rather annoying. Let's see if I can find you. It says you're not on here. It says you're not on here. Holy. What is EA up to?
Brilliant. Have you got anyone on Xbox who can invite me?
There should be somebody. I'm just double checking whether you are here or not. And I do apologize for this. This is not how I expected the night to be going. But yeah, I can't find
Welcome to F124.
Yeah, I can't find you. But yeah, so that's currently how it is. Just looking, this game generally sometimes makes me want to quit, but guess we'll have to see how that goes. Currently, a few more drivers putting in laps. Nickerson, I'm gonna keep trying to invite you, but we're missing so much qualifying. You could add Allied Squire
On EA.
on Xbox.
Oh, I might be able to just join them. I might be able to join them just straight up.
Giovanni Galeotto on the lap. So are you joining? Or are you struggling? So, making his way round, Giovanni Galeotto, the man who has proved himself in fours. Of course, he proved himself on Sunday. He's proving himself quite a few times. His teammate, top of the grid at the moment. Fastest driver out there. Fastest driver in the first ones by quite a bit. LR wanting to take a very strong race. Giovanni Galeotto goes fastest. 1 minute 8.710. First driver into the 1 minute 8. And there's an incredibly strong lap time from him, I have to say. Incredibly strong from the LR driver. We got Joe, who is making his way round now in the McLaren. He's got to try and find some time. Liam currently struggling with this game. I might have to re-invite Z6 as well, which this game. Cots, you know you can chat in the. Oh, you haven't got tier 2 roles. Okay, my bad. You got tier 2 roles now. Yeah, my bad.
Possibly.
Then.
I'm just going through everyone on the list who's on Xbox.
Yeah, so you could add Allied Squire. Like I said, he's on Xbox. Allied Squire 391. Literally could add it.
I'm just going through everyone on the list who's on Xbox.
So
add the streamer.
Watching as Micro Mash makes his way round. Never gonna say that again. Micro Mash making his way round. Up to the line he goes. It is going to be slowest of all. 9th place and slowest for IFE at the moment. Really rough day for him right now. And for IFE, 6th and 9th is where they sit, not where they want to be. Who else is on the lap at the moment? Giggs, he's just invalidated on his lap. Got Louis coming round at some speed in that Williams. Let's see how the Williams is doing. 600s up in the first sector. Not going to gain him any places at the moment. He's got to find more time in his lap. You know, we've got quite a very spread grid here tonight. Something that I've realised that we do have. We have a very spread grid. Very different from our previous, from last week's race, which was actually very close throughout. Very different with qualifying, and very different, of course, with the race as well. Louis making his way round. Let's see how he's going to do on his lap. He's going to be picking up some slipstream from a few cars. He's going to be picking up some slipstream from the Red Bull ahead. As he heads down the pit straight into the final chicane. He goes, hitting the wall hard though. That could lose him time. Has he got wing damage? Don't think he does. But it isn't faster. Giovanni Galeotto just went fast, even faster, to a 1 minute 8.618. Yeah, not too bad from him at all. Klen in the Mercedes, currently on a lap. He's behind the Williams, picking up some slipstream. The Williams might want to get out of the way very soon. Contact! Holy. Holy, what is going on here in qualifying? Craziness is happening. Once again, craziness is happening again this race. Genuinely holy. Said 6 needs an invite. This is the one part of the game that I do generally dislike, is the inviting people. I'm so done with it. I do apologize to you guys for these last 3 races of just screens. Nickerson just went P2 and we all missed that, which was disappointing. But Nickerson just went P2. And he's gone into the 1 minute 8, just jumping gigs, which is good to see from SET. Currently, LR and SET holding all of the top 4 in qualifying so far. VMV struggling a little bit, specifically Scuderia, who's struggling, Klen as well. We got Joe, who's coming up to the line next. He's going to jump up to P7. A nice little improvement that he's made at the moment. Ultimately, not a bad lap from him. Allied Squire not happy with his lap. He's coming into the pits now. Giggs just about to start a lap. He's the only driver who's going to be on a lap. I think let's watch him as he makes his way through sector 1, making his way through turn 1 and turn 2. Very, very nice. Very, very nicely there from the Red Bull driver. Now making his way up towards the next chicane. He needs to make everything work here and get everything done at the moment. Yeah, I do agree with you, Legacy Sports. I do agree with you. Qualifying from you at the moment, 1-3. Looking incredibly strong. We saw this from the Alpines yesterday as well. We saw this from the Alpines of CRE, who also qualified 1-3 in Hungary yesterday in Tier 1. Ultimately, they couldn't go on to win the race. I think one driver didn't even get top 10. The other got P2, so it was pretty close. Giggs making his way round on his lap. Purple middle sector. He needs to find a little bit of time just to jump Nickerson, and he needs to find quite a bit more time, near on 0.4 of a second. About 0.4 of a second just to jump his own teammate at the moment. He's the only driver out on a lap right now, making his way up to line. Here comes Giggs as he makes his way round. It isn't fastest. It's only 700ths faster, and that is only P2, but it is a 1-2 for LR at the moment, and they are looking incredibly strong.
I'm just trying to... I am in now. It's just loading in, so I should be able to give my take on this comment on this session so far. But from the looks of things, yeah, 1-2 for, I believe, the Legacy Esports team is not a bad start, especially considering that they're pretty much the only drivers in the 108s, and you've got the 2 drivers for Ferrari, which I'm just trying to find now, is the...
SET.
Is that the SET team?
Yeah, it is SET. Nicholson also in the 1 minute 8. He just scraped in. Both Giggs and Nicholson split by less than half a tenth, by the way. So it's incredibly close between second and third over this position. We've got Clen, who's on a lap. VMV needs a good race over POR tonight. They really need a good race. And at the moment, POR both retired from the session, P12 and P14, because they both have qualifying bans because of the late changes. So that has now meant that you can see that both drivers out of qualifying now. So this is a good chance for VMV to close up to them and possibly take the constructors' lead. And there goes Clen, who just by 13 thousandths of a second misses out on being our fourth driver today to reach a 1 minute 8. But the times are definitely coming down between the whole grid. They're definitely coming down quite a bit. We were looking at the top 6 being split by near on a second at the beginning of qualifying. Now we're looking at it being split by, yes, still 7/10 of a second, but it is still 3/10 closer than it was. And I mean, the top, look at this battle for over second. Giggs, 1 minute 8.934. Nicholson, 1 minute 8.973. And Clen with a 1 minute 9.012. Look at how close that is. They're all within 800ths of each other at the moment. And this is just the battle for P2, let alone other positions that are going on currently in the grid.
Well, something that we've noticed about this year's game so far is there's been a lot of significant track evolution. So times do tumble towards the end of sessions. And I think that's what all these drivers are waiting for. They're waiting for the latest possible opportunity to head out of the pits and get ready on their app. That you've only got ETE LXRY, he's probably going to go for a push lap with 2 minutes and 48 seconds left on the clock. And I'm actually going to watch you on board with him. And I hope that you're going to keep up as well as we're going to go for a lap narrated by me around the Canadian Grand Prix. So there's turn 1, which you have to take a lot of curbing on the inside line, and then turn 2, you just have to make sure you definitely don't spin out of the little mini chicane. Another little mini chicane comes where this time you have to make sure not to invalidate your lap, because you have to go through it quickly in order to gain any sorts of time, any sort of competitive time. But the curbs just jump at you. They're so wide out. Now he's on one of the DRS straights. There's 3 DRS straights. There is one, and he's done it just as snappily as he began it, heading up to the hairpin, the most crucial corner on this entire track, because it's so easy to lock up, and LXRY has locked up. Not sure how much that has impacted his lap. We'll see as he comes round to the final corner. He's almost 6/10 up on his previous time, which was a 1:10.1. He'll be wanting and targeting those 1:08s, and he's going to come around the final corner. Very difficult chicane to navigate, but he's up to the line, and it's a 1:09.5. That's only 8th place, but it seemed rapid, and those are the sorts of times that you're expected to set in this session.
I have to say, I think his Sector 1 was very strong, by the way. That was actually his strongest sector. Sector 1 was where he found the most time out of any sector, by the way. He found 3.5 tenths in his first sector. He found another 3 tenths in his second sector. But his weak sector, which was, of course, he lost a tenth, though, in the final sector. So, obviously, he didn't exactly master his lap. I think we saw sort of through the chicane, you know, the first and the second chicanes of Sector 2, where Tropic is going through at the moment, where he just went through. We saw that, you know, he started to struggle a bit through those 2 chicanes, through those 4 different corners. Tropic only up, though, by 18 thousandths of a second. Very small improvement from the Aston Martin at the moment. He needs a lot more here tonight. You know, of course, his teammate, 13th and last. He has to, of course, serve a qualifying ban, does his teammate, for a late lineup. And across the line he goes. He finds only 45 thousandths in his lap, staying P7. And to be honest, that's such a small dent in the gap that is between him and Scuderia, as these will be the final lap times, by the way. As Murphy does improve by 1/4 of a second. He just reaches an 8.9, which is good enough for now. We're going to see Allied Squire improves by almost a second in his lap, just missing out as well. Nickerson goes to a 0.7. He finds the time that he needed. Giovanni Galeotto finds more time in his lap. A 1 minute 8.391. Even more times we found. Giggs couldn't improve, by the way. He couldn't improve, and he stays P3. And he stays behind Nickerson at the moment. We got Clen coming up to the line next. He goes P3 now. He jumps both Murphy and Giggs. And that is a low 0.9, exactly what VMV were looking for. We just saw Micromash go P8. We can see Joe has spun round. I think that is qualifying for everybody. But also, just to mention, Scuderia also going P7 as well, jumping in between the two Haas drivers here tonight. The two, I believe it's IFE drivers. But what a pole position from Giovanni Galeotto. And, I mean, a 1-4, not exactly how they wanted to finish. Not where they were, of course. They were 1-2 earlier on. But now, inside of the top three, we have three different teams with three different drivers. That has got to be something special.
Well, it's interesting you make that observation, actually, because Giggs was up to the line, having invalidated his lap. He was improving, and the improved lap would have had him up in second place. So both legacy racing drivers tonight have the pace to be up there. So, well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we definitely will. So here is ultimately the grid order. Giovanni Galeotto is on pole position, followed by Nickerson, Clen, Giggs, Murphy, Allied Squire with Scuderia in 7th, Micromash in 8th, Tropic 9th, Louis in 10th, Joe in 11th with Foxes, Z6 and Liam all having qualifying bans here tonight. Only 15 drivers we have. 14 drivers. My apologies, 14 drivers. I can't even see how many drivers we have anymore. Gonna be an interesting one, I have to say. It's definitely gonna be an interesting one. Ultimately, it's going to be quite interesting to see what everybody's going to be able to do here tonight. Yeah, I mean, strategy now is going to be so important.
And this is where some teams have the edge over others. So we've seen in Tier 1, especially this season, we've seen the top couple of teams have just really taken the edge, and they've taken the grip on the championship because of their strategies. And the teams, for example, the likes of SET, it will be perfect for them if they can nail their strategy today, because from the looks of things, the two LR drivers are faster on raw pace. But if SET can get their strategy right, they could easily be up in the top two. But don't discount VMV as well, with a driver in, I believe he was in 4th. And then a driver in 7th, I think.
Yeah, don't discount anybody. I agree with you. Don't discount anybody. But Giovanni Galeotto, his strength that he's had so far in that qualifying session, he was still, over a quarter of a second still ahead of P2. That's not just a pole position. That is pure dominance in qualifying. He was fastest from start to finish as well, which just proves that he was incredibly on the pace. LR is going to be difficult to beat here tonight, but I think SET, they might just have it in the bag. They might just just be able to get there. Because, SET showing that they've been confident in qualifying, they're splitting the LR drivers. And, there's VMV Scuderia, not Scuderia, my bad. I think it was Clen who ultimately slots also in P3. So, between LR, they've got a difficult day still, especially with their second driver of Giggs. They're going to have a bit of a difficult day when it comes down to team strategy and teamwork, because they're both in very different scenarios and the whole grid is still pretty close.
Yeah, and it'll be the minimal gains that you can get, which is why strategy does play into those sorts of things. And now that we know, now that we're using team cars, now that we know who you're going to pit alongside, that's where strategy has even more of an edge, because we saw a few weeks ago drivers getting held up because they've boxed behind some random person that just happened to be their teammate. Teamwork will be imperative today, much more important than it was previously. And we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree. I do agree with you fully. I think this is going to be the important part of tonight, really.
Just waiting to get going.
Yeah, we're
for
slightly late.
this race.
We're slightly late. The games, as some people are saying, is completely broken. I'm not going to disagree there, to be honest. Can't really disagree. I can hear the little lights off in the background. So here we go. We're going to get racing in the next few seconds here in Canada. Let's see what we have on our hands here tonight. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in Canada for FRLT Tier 2. It is time for round 6, and it's a good getaway here by Giovanni Galeotto into turn 1, and through turn 2 he goes. He continues to lead. There's battling further back. Giggs now making the move. That important move on Clen and on Murphy at the same time. He's gotten a very good start. There's a slow start from Foxus and Z6 further back. They're quite a bit further back, but it's a great start from Giggs. He's up to P3 now. We've still got Nicholson chasing down the Red Bull with all the speed he's got. We've got 4 different teams we've got 3 different teams occupying the top 5 at the moment. So the battle is all on. Allied Squire, Micromash also getting a good start there. P6 and P7, they're both sitting close to the SCT driver of Murphy. They're really wanting to still get their battle going here tonight. We can see also a few other drivers further back also sitting in this battle that they want to try and make work. Heading down the inside goes Louis. He's made that move. By the way, also Murphy making a move at the same time on Clen. Clen getting a really bad start here tonight so far. He's really struggling to keep up with everybody. And it's been a really terrible start for him so far. Down 2 places from where he started.
And he's had Allied Squire all over his back from that moment that he got overtaken by Murphy. And you could see both of the drivers in the Haas this evening could be pressuring him as soon as they possibly can. And it's just about making a few corners hook up together at the right moment, because he's certainly made that final straight work. He's certainly got the advantage down there, and it's just making sure that he can get that combination of the straight and the corners mixed up in the perfect combination. And he's got the DRS down the straight, gaining on Clen not quite enough, but there is 3 DRS straights in the space of not very much track, so Squire will be looking to get past him as soon as he possibly can, and it could be out of this hairpin, looking to get the advantage. Looking at further ahead, just ahead of this battle as well, Murphy and Giggs are looking to fight. Squire doesn't look like he's got the exit off of that hairpin, and so my attention returns to the front of the grid, and Nico-san could be attacking Giovanni Galeotto. He could be taking the lead of this race for the first time and taking the advantage really back to SET for the first time since this weekend began. Or he'll be looking to at least take the advantage ahead of Legacy Racing.
I mean, the one good thing that SET has had this race and is that they've kept up off of the start. Murphy also getting past Clem, which was important as well, so he didn't get held up behind for too long. And Nicholson's just been proving this as well, that SET, even though they've had a bit of a difficult start to the season, they are still coming back at this, and they're still wanting to go for it when they can. You know, they're hoping for a double podium here tonight. They're, of course, hoping for the biggest of a 1-2. Really pull them up in the Constructors, really pull up their points. Maybe prop them up for a few rounds this season. Heading round the hairpin goes Nicholson, and you can see he is chasing down that Red Bull, still sitting at half a second in front of him. DRS now opens. Using overtake, you can see a lot of straight line speed coming from that Ferrari as the gap closes 2 tenths, 3 tenths it closes down that straight. Tropic making the move now. Allied Squire, contact with Clen. Clen jumps over the curbs, getting a 3-second time penalty for that. Allied Squire now finds himself up into P5 and up into this battle for a podium. And now this is the charge of the IFE driver.
Just looking further back, we've got Liam, who had contact in the last lap. He's had contact again, and he's gone round after diving down the inside of the McLaren of J-Jo. but he's really struggled in the last couple of laps.
He has said,
lost,
by the way, he has said that the game wouldn't let him put a setup on.
Well, that could explain a couple of things, but
there's a change for the lead. There's a change for the lead, by the way. Nickerson takes the lead here in Canada. Giovanni thought he had it covered. He thought the Ferrari would not strike, but it did. And now the Red Bull is striking right back at him. And you can see Nickerson trying to leave as much space as he can. He's basically pushing that Red Bull through the kink of the left hand and now opening the rear wing with the DRS. He's not actually going to get DRS down this straight, which means he is going to lose out. And his teammate Murphy is going for it on the other Red Bull of Giggs at the same time. They're still both battling it out, but you can see Nickerson's losing out here. He might be under attack by the other Red Bull of Giggs because Giggs is all over the back of that Ferrari because of the problems with DRS. Here comes Allied Squire on Murphy out of nowhere. Haas versus Ferrari. We saw this last night in Tier 1. We're seeing it again here tonight. And that is Allied Squire. Up to P4 he goes. And Giggs, by the way, got a penalty on that lap as Liam retires.
He just made the advantage because Murphy was focused on attacking, pressuring Giggs because he thought that Nick Giggs was going to try and fight Nickerson. So Murphy was completely focused ahead of him, and Squire was just able to, as Murphy pulled out of the move on Giggs, just able to take the advantage, climb up into 4th place, and he's really arguably looking the quickest of all the drivers at the moment. He's just finding the opportunities, waiting for the opportunities as there's a big slide for him out of the hairpin. Murphy looks to take advantage to the outside, trying to force a gap. There is a gap. Squire covers it off and Murphy gets back into the slipstream. That's not something Squire has the luxury of, but that straight line speed from the IFE driver is something incredible. And Murphy struggling through the final corner. He could be overtaken now, or re-overtaken, should I say, by Glenn, who gets back up into 5th place. Murphy, in the last couple of laps, has just completely capitulated. He's dropped down from the fight for P3 down to P6. And he's just going to have to regather his bearings and try to fight back forward. He's not dropped too far because they're all still within DRS. It's all the drivers between 1st and 7th, all in DRS. And Nico-san almost going for the move on Giovanni Galeotto. But on the exit, it's a dose of DRS. And it could prove fatal for him. Although Giggs is going to try to go down the inside. Giggs is going to fight for the lead, it looks like. Just tucking in the inside is his teammate, who he's not going to try and overtake. But Squire's been spun around. There was contact there between himself and Glenn. And these drivers are fighting for their lives at the moment. Nickerson dropping out of the battle. Murphy looking down the inside of Glenn. But in the end, having to defend from Micromash. But that is going to be pretty much the battle. Dropped down to just 6 drivers. Allied Squire is going to have to fight back from square one. And it's a Legacy Racing 1-2 now. Nickerson is going to try to breach that on the main straight. But I think the teamwork is going to come into play now. Murphy is not quite in a position to work with Nickerson. And Galeotto and Giggs, I think they're just going to be able to work their way forward.
What I'm surprised by, compared to last race that we had. Last race, we still had, you know, a sort of 3-4-way battle in Silverstone, by the way, for the win. Here, we've still got 6 drivers who are still all within a second of each other, still all within about half a second of each other at the moment, which shows that there is still this battle. As Giggs now takes the lead of the race away from his teammate, which means we have now our 3rd race leader of the night, by the way, in just 7 laps, which is the most race leaders that we've had out of anybody in the first 3 laps. As you can see, Giggs letting his teammate back by. Some strategy going on there? Or is it maybe some teammate battling? I suspect it could be, because now Giggs won't have DRS, by the way. This allows Nickerson to get an attack around the outside, on board with him. He's going to go to the outside. And maybe a bit of Red Bull battling has now caused Red Bull to ultimately lose out in the long run.
They were definitely trying to do some sort of teamwork, because before the chicane heading up to the hairpin, Giggs and Galeotto did swap positions, and it was very intentional, that swap of positions. So I think there may have been a miscommunication where Galeotto feels as though he can fight Giggs, and it may have been that he felt as though Giggs was doing a little bit of gamesmanship, trying to pick up the DRS. But now the 2 Red Bulls will have to get back together in those 1-2 positions. They know what doesn't work, because down that straight, overtaking in the hairpin was just, it didn't make much sense from a teamwork perspective anyway. But Giggs is going to have to try and get back past Nika-san if they want to break away from this little group of 6 drivers. In the meantime, Shedchik gets past Lurie, and it's going to be DRS down the back straight for Nika-san, for Giggs, for Clen, for Murphy, and for Micro Mash. Tell you what, though, Clen is looking racy behind Giggs.
There's that, but I've just got to say, Micro Mash, do you think he's saving here? Because he's been sitting at the back of this group watching them pick each other off bit by bit. Do you think this is a bit of smart strategy going on where I don't use my ERS, I don't use my tyres, but then they just pick each other off for me while I sit and watch? Do you think there's some bigger strategy going on with that Haas driver?
I think it was. I think both the Haas drivers were planning on working together. Obviously, that's been put to pot for Allied Squire as he went round, as Jojo goes round, hitting the wall, giving himself damage. He's going to have to go round one more lap without an end plate. But Allied Squire did get past him on that previous lap, and he's looking to fight back up. There's not that big of gaps between the drivers. Tropic F1, 4 seconds between himself and Micromash, as there's a virtual safety car for something, possibly to do with the top group. They looked the only ones that were slow.
Front wing.
Oh, Allied Squire's without a front wing. What on earth has happened there?
I think he hit into the wall off for the exit, maybe. You know, through the second chicane.
Seems so I was just talking up his chances, and suddenly he's got no front wing. A virtual safety car's been pulled out.
He would have been hoping for a safety car. That would have been his big hope, of course. Would have been that he.
We could see some drivers duck into the pits. We could see some drivers duck into the pits. It may be too early.
No, I don't think we're going to see anybody, because these mediums can last till about lap 15 at least. By the way, lap 15 to lap 20. Usually these mediums last about 15 laps as minimum, so this would be very early for them to come in. As now we're going again, mid-corner, by the way. Foxer spins round. Nickerson jumps Giovanni Galliotto off of the exit of turn 2. And there he goes, the Ferrari man, into the lead for a second time here tonight. And the Red Bulls, the LR drivers, are really scrambling around now. And they've been scrambling around for the last few laps. As you can see, everybody's been on mediums except Allied Squire, who's on the hard tyres. He's just changed to the hard tyres now. But do you think the Red Bulls are losing their cool slightly? Do you think they're getting a little bit anxious? Because they've been making a few mistakes here and there, and that safety car restart was a massive mistake to make at this point during the race. Because now their biggest rival this weekend, which, let's be honest, has been Nickerson, is now the man who now leads the race ahead from both the Red Bulls, who are comfortably 1-2 only about 3 laps ago.
Well, Giovanni definitely struggled off the safety car restart. He could be retaking this lead down this main straight as he looks briefly to the inside, trying to force a mistake out of Nickerson. But it's just, they had a brief moment of being unable to work together. That was going side by side in the hairpin, which has had bigger implications in this race than they would have been hoping for. And I still think the fact that as Foxus gets disqualified from the session for parking up on the side, I don't know what's happened there, but I'm sure something will come to light very soon.
By the way, just to put that in perspective, that is a double POR DNF tonight. Double DNF for POR. Now, one is unlucky for Liam because they wouldn't let him change his setup, but for Foxus, not sure what to say about his week and his race ultimately. You see Giovanni Galliotto trying to make that move on Nickerson, but he has risked his exit there, and it hasn't worked out for Giovanni because he finds himself 4 tenths behind. He is chasing very closely, and he is catching a lot down this long main straight. And here he goes into the final 2 corners. He's gone a little deep. It looked like he did jump the curb slightly there. Or was that just me? It looked like he might have jumped the curb slightly. Maybe just risking a warning so he could get back out in front.
From the looks of things, Foxus did just get stuck in that. I think he span and then got stuck in that position. So that's what happened with that. That's why he was disqualified. But Giovanni Galliotto just took the opportunity, took Nickerson by surprise. He's now out of the DRS range. Whether he'll be able to keep this up, as he went past the detection point, but it looks like Nika-san is going to have DRS.
No, he's not.
So he is. He's got DRS down this straight, according to my telemetry. So
according to Two Eyes, bro, he doesn't. He hasn't. He didn't have it down the straight.
Well, he gained certainly, and he's going to have it down this main straight or down this back straight again, because, well, he's gaining time nonetheless. Whether he had DRS or not, he's gaining time this time, and even though it's not going to be enough, it would just be enough to keep the pressure on. And Giggs is not going to want that at all. Giggs is going to want to close in down this main straight, apply the pressure to the SET driver, and this is the ideal pressure, as he's just not going for the move yet. But Nika-san will see the Red Bull in his rear wings, and he won't be thinking just yet about the re-overtake of Giovanni Galliotto. He'll be thinking of protecting that position, waiting for maybe Murphy to come up past Clen, as he just tries to find an advantage of some sort. Giovanni Galliotto picks up a 3-second time penalty, the third of this leading 6, to pick up a penalty after Giggs and Clen, who both have 3 seconds. So at the moment, Nika-san does provisionally lead this race, but it could be absolutely crucial that they stay penalty-free for the rest of this race, both the SET drivers, and let's not forget, Micromash.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we could be looking at a double SET, a 1-2 for SET and a podium for IFE once again this season, which would be 4 times in a row, by the way, 4 podiums this season for IFE from when they started. So, I mean, they've really put together a campaign of brilliance. As you can see, Giovanni Galliotto coming into the pits feeling like he's done on his tyres. He doesn't want to go any longer. He is going to the hard tyres. It's the same for Murphy as well. So the driver's coming in slightly earlier to go to these tyres. Virtual safety car, by the way, has come out. I'm not sure.
Like Squire lost his front wing again.
Again? He's lost his front wing. What is this man? He's a man on a mission, isn't he? To not have front... He's really trying to bankrupt Haas at this rate. He's really trying, isn't he? But
and to the member of the chat who's asking about tyres, Giovanni Galliotto and SET Murphy just came in for hards. You showed it, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I should. Yeah.
I'm just checking.
Yeah. I'm not mean, but Nicholson now leads, and with the virtual safety car being out, this has saved Giovanni and Murphy time in their pit stop. It has saved them time, of course. They'll save possibly about 3-4 seconds. Some big call-outs in the chat, by the way. Big call-outs.
I think that's true. Normally, that sort of thing is quite suspicious, but I think...
Clen, he just went off. He just went off in the hairpin and broke his front wing.
Is that broken?
Yeah,
is that an end plate?
Front plate? Yeah,
it looks like it. But I don't think it was him trying to cause a safety car, because Micromash hadn't come into the pits. So if it was teamwork, it was not very good teamwork. As now the top 3 do come into the pits. This is where the advantage will be taken, as Tropic gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. It's come in at the worst possible time for 4 of that leading group, Nika-san, Micromash, and Clen and Murphy, who all came in, which means Giovanni Galliotto is going to take the lead of this race. No, Murphy. I think Murphy actually pitted on the previous lap, so he has benefited from this. And it's now the 2 SET drivers splitting the 2 Legacy Racing drivers. But
yeah, also, by the way, Giovanni Galliotto, it kind of worked out for him there. 1.6 seconds now. He's gained about a second from those pit stops, by the way. From the VSC, he's gained about a second. He's gaining more and more. For Nicholson here, though, the important thing for SCT now is just to finish where they are. As Murphy decides he doesn't want to, as he gets a 3-second time penalty, and that's really going to hurt his race. Ultimately, driver's gone for the hards now. I think everybody's on the hard tyres. Let's have a look at this. Only Tropic, Z6, Louis, and Allied Squire are on mediums at the moment, and those three of those drivers who are still inside of the top 8 are all on their tyres that they started with. Nicholson now in P2. He's chasing down Giovanni Galliotto. Z6 gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Not helping his day either. Z6 though, on his way. I mean, let's be honest. The biggest loser from the VSC and from the pit stops was actually Micromash. He was the biggest loser from all of it because at the moment he's only on his way to finish P5.
Well, it is actually very disappointing for Micromash because he was looking like he was certainly on for a battle for the podium. He's still penaltyless and he's only 3 seconds off Giggs, so it's not like he's down and out yet, but he does have to show the express pace that he hasn't shown so far, the excess pace even, that will keep him catching up with the top group. We've got the 2 SET drivers within DRS of each other and Giggs within DRS of Murphy as well. So it's very much a team game now. Can the 2 SET drivers catch up with Giovanni Galliotto? Can Giggs stop them?
Big thing is, I don't think Giggs will be able to stop Nickerson because we've seen Nickerson has just been, I think, more creative. He's been, he's been more creative when racing. He's been, I think, slightly smarter with his racing as well. He caught Giggs out. He caught Giovanni Galliotto out as well. He's caught both of them out at the same time during, this race. As Giggs gets another 3-second time penalty, so I think his podium chance is gone. And with Micromash, that does leave Micromash now, by the way, in P4. So he will still gain a position. He will still get top 4 in the end. So it isn't too bad for the Haas driver. Hello, Neb Restroom from yesterday. Hello, welcome to the stream. I hope you're enjoying it. Good race from you yesterday, actually. I will say that. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're enjoying it. Please think about subscribing. By the way, I just want to point this out now, just because, I thought it'd be great to point this out at this point during the stream. But yesterday, we hit a little bit of an achievement for the league, didn't we? We reached 100 subscribers on the channel, which I have to say thank you so much to all of you guys for that amazing amount of support that we have had here in the league, just in the league altogether, and the support we've had here on the channel is just absolutely amazing. I mean, we started season 2, by the way, with just 32 subscribers. So to gain, we've now gained over 70 subscribers. We've gained 71 subscribers this season, which I just didn't expect us to do, especially midway through the season as drivers are now racking up penalties all over the place. But Nickerson, by the way, Nickerson now finds his way just over 3 seconds behind Giovanni Galliotto now. So he's outside of that penalty zone, which means at the moment he's just gotten back within it. But he's sitting on that edge right now where he might not be able to get this victory.
Well, he's still got almost half a race to go. And although he only has a lap of Hard's improvement on Giovanni Galliotto, in essence, it's going to be very close. If Nika-san can continue on the trajectory he's going, he could easily earn a 1-2 for Ferrari here, because he has been catching just a couple of tenths a lap, and I'm expecting that to continue, especially with the teamwork of these two, as it has been so far. As SET Murphy puts pay to exactly what I just said. He's just picked up 3 seconds more worth of penalties, and he's up now to 6 seconds. So it would be steep if Nika-san can catch up, or even if SET Murphy can catch up. But I find that, well, unlikely, if not impossible. We've got Allied Squire, who's really struggling again. He's spun around. He's about to be lapped by Giovanni Galliotto. And it's just really not been his day.
Yeah, it is.
And there we go. We can see him go past.
Another broken front wing.
I wouldn't be surprised if he runs out. I don't know if there's a limit on here.
No, realistically, there's never been a limit. I've broken my front wing about 5 times in a race, and I kept on getting it repaired. So I don't think there is a limit with this game. Not 100%. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not.
It might be in career mode.
Yeah, I think it is career. I suspect it would be career, or my team. I suspect it would be probably my team, and I've been disconnected.
Okay, I'll keep going with like a radio style commentary then. We've got Nika-san, who's just been passed by Murphy down the main straight. As Murphy sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, Allied Squire finally decides that it really isn't his day and retires from the session. It's 2.5 seconds now between Murphy and Giovanni Galliotto for the lead of this race. Murphy has nothing to lose now. He's 2.6 seconds behind. Giovanni Galliotto leaves the session as well. So I think this could be a widespread problem. Allied Squire leaves the session, but I think that's because he retired.
I think this is a server problem.
Yep, Giggs has left.
Yeah, I think it's a server problem.
What's the protocol for that then? Is that a restart? On lap 20?
No, I don't know because I haven't planned for this. I never planned for this to happen. I've never had this happen. I think the server's down. Yep, it's down. I think there's a problem. So, okay. Now this is going to be something that we're going to have to talk about. Okay. So now we could talk about what we've seen so far, but there is no connection in the game, by the way. So, I think the servers are down. Yeah, servers are down.
Brilliant.
Well. I think at the moment, I think that might be cutting our stream a little short because I don't think we're going to get racing for a while.
Anyway, subscribe to my channel, all 11 of you watching right now. It's the same as you can see on your screens there. Just type that into. It's not the Epic Freestyler 8 one. It's the other one. If you want to type that into YouTube now. But I'm just trying to see who hasn't left.
Are you still?
It looks like Murphy's not left the session. It looks like he's still in. Because he's just taken the lead of this race. I don't think Nickerson's left either. Because he's about to take P2.
I think some drivers have been kicked out. It could be a country thing.
Well, I couldn't tell because of all the nationalities are different. I think we've only got.
I think so. I think it's a country thing.
Yeah. Well, I've not been kicked out. Oh.
Now you've been kicked.
I may have just been kicked out. No, I haven't. No, I haven't been kicked out, but I went into the race director and it's not letting me leave the race director now.
Yeah, I think it's broken. Yeah, apologies guys for this. This is
Well, that's right, because I've got the order.
It wasn't planned.
Of course not.
Well, we're hoping. But they just saw our race and just went, yeah, we're gonna. So we might. Oh, I hope we don't.
Well, PSGL has only just come to an end. I will say that. Maybe it was intentional.
No, they were midstream.
No, they're midstream, but they finished their race about 15 minutes ago.
Okay. Some people saying the server is on. I think it could be nationality. I think it could be where you live. I think it's where you live.
Giovanni Galliotto's, from the looks of things, Pietro Galliotto. It must be Giovanni.
It's back on.
He's in the race.
It's back on. It's back on.
Not for me, it's not.
For me it is. It's just come back on.
I can't leave the race director. So
you might have to shut down your game. So the server is working. It's now working. So there might have been a cutout. They might have cut out. Thing is, the stream's still going. We haven't had a problem with the stream. What we might do is I think what we might have to do is do a restart.
No, really?
Maybe. I think. Not restart the whole race. We'll probably do 25%. Because I think that's like 14 laps.
Yeah, because it was about halfway through and then start it with the grid from what we had. I can bring up the grid now.
So my apologies to everybody here tonight. This was not the way I thought we were gonna be racing. Everything was going fine as well. Everything was going fine. Quite disappointed. I think it was a country thing. I think it was for us. Quite disappointing to have this, I must say the least. It's quite disappointing to have this here tonight. I'll get to inviting a few people because a lot of people got obviously kicked, and so I think we gotta We're only going to be doing a 25% race, I'm afraid to say. So, yeah, sadly, you guys will be seeing a much shorter race here tonight. Well, about the equal amount of time, actually, for a race. Or, I'm trying to think. It is back on. EA is back on. The server is back on, but this is the big question now. Do we restart or don't we? I don't know now. What do you think, my good friend Kotz?
I think you should put out a poll.
A poll.
In
I've
the...
asked people, but nobody's responding in the server.
Well, give them like a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Some
'Cause
drivers
it's not like
are
they've
joining
got
already.
anything else.
Some drivers are already joining into the new lobby. So I think we're going to be getting racing under this new lobby now. I think that's fair enough if we get racing under the new lobby. My apologies to everybody for this absolute horrific way to go about tonight. Absolute horrific way we're having to do this. Never fun, is it? It's never fun to have this. But we're going to get all the drivers in shortly. Only some drivers are going to get invited, by the way. Not everybody's getting invited because some people DNF'd.
Would you like the list? I've got the screen.
I've got the list. Somebody already sent me the list, which was quite nice of them. I don't think it was a worldwide thing. I think it was UK servers that went down.
Well, again, I didn't have a problem. I don't know.
You did. Then you get locked in.
Well, yeah, I got locked in the race director, but that was after everybody left the race.
No, but that's what I mean. It's because you then disconnected slightly later.
So that means the gaps between the drivers are going to be completely different. They're going to be completely nullified, really, because you can't exactly do a roll and start.
So that's about the equivalent. To be fair, it's about the equivalent.
Yeah.
But then it's about a second between each position. It's about a second to 2 seconds when they start to move away from the grid. To be fair.
Well, that's not exactly 12 seconds between 7th and 8th, and 15 seconds between 10th and 11th.
You know what I mean as well.
Yeah.
Fox's DNF. My bad. I just invited Fox's. Yeah, so we won't be removing penalties. I'll look at the penalties that we had before then, and I'll count them up, basically. We'll count up the penalties that way, which is a bit of a slow way of doing it.
Giovanni 3, Murphy 6, Giggs 6.
Yeah, just send me a list, mate. I don't need...
Yeah, but I don't have a list. I have to watch back the stream.
No. That's what I mean. Just tell me when you. Who else are we missing?
Me.
I can't seem to invite you for some reason because the game's dumb. I don't know who I'm meant to be inviting now. So we are doing just a 25% race. I'm afraid to say yes, it is just a 25% race. But I need everybody in. Need everybody to join. Or we don't get racing, and then we don't have a race. This is just crazy. Sometimes... Yeah, so we won't be removing penalties. Penalties will be added, but afterwards. And then we'll come out with the order in the standings. We will come out with the order when the standings come out. So now I'm just I am looking for drivers, so trying to get everybody in. If we don't get most of our grid, which I think was 12 people, I think it 12 or was it 13? I think we had 13 at the end. I think if we don't get everybody
no, we
back
had
in.
2 retirements. We possibly had 3 retirements. I think we had 11 because Allied Squire retired.
No,
So I think it's
that was a
he
picture.
he did after you left, but I don't know if you're going to count that because it was literally as you left he retired. So it's really up to you
Yeah, there's 12,
and him.
so it's just we're missing just I think 2 drivers. I need some more of these people to join. Please join.
Well, the race would just start without him then.
No, I mean we've got 9, and we had 12. With 12, and I still need to get you in as well. But could you join off of Z6, please, or somebody?
I can try.
Yeah, you need to find somebody to join off of because I cannot seem to invite you. But I've got to fix the settings now, I'm afraid to say. Super annoying tonight. I have to say I do apologize to everybody for this absolute awful night. I'm gonna go for a little bit. We're gonna have an intermission. I should make an intermission screen really, but we're just gonna go to a quick intermission. We'll be back in about about 8 minutes probably. I'll think about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So we'll see you very soon. Bye.
Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. Humans, what have you learned? I was programmed to beat you. The same mistakes. I was programmed to beat you.
Hello, and welcome back. We're about to get back into the race. My apologies for the absolutely crazy delays we've had here tonight. My apologies for this absolute lengthening of the stream. It's not what we ever planned to have. Let's be honest, we never planned to actually have these problems happen. But we are going once again here tonight for Canada. It's a 25% race now, so I think it's going to be 14 laps, I believe it is. If I'm correct, 14 or 15 laps. I think it's 15.
25% will be. I'm trying to work this out in my head.
17, I think. 17.
Yeah,
18.
16 or 17, something like that.
Yeah. So essentially, we'll be doing a 25% race. 10 drives the left. One doesn't want to rejoin. I can't really blame him. Let's be honest. But we're here now. Drivers, I've asked them to leave 3 minutes before they get going. Leave a little bit of time. So, yeah, we're going for another 30-minute race. I think it's just less than that, I do believe. I think it's about 20... Isn't it about 25 minutes, isn't it? Yeah.
Depends on how many safety cars we get.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any, hopefully. But essentially, we've got about 25 minutes of racing ahead, which does mean, by the way, this will be this season's longest stream, because we will surpass 2 hours in length in a stream. We're going to get going in about 3 minutes' time. Yeah, we're only going in about 3 minutes. Ultimately,
It just gives the drivers enough time to put their setups on, get
and
ready
change,
again.
and change setups as well.
Yes, which would have been very helpful for Liam earlier.
Yeah, would have been good if it could have worked. Somebody getting rather heated in the chat, by the way, about the time that I'm giving people. People are getting mad at me in chat for saying when we're readying up. This guy's saying you said ready up at 18. At 18 past. I said ready up for the lobby at that time. Holy. This man is insane. If you're looking
Yeah, ban epic freestyler. Agree with that.
Yeah, your boss, mate. You be careful. Why do you think you're demoted? Now I'm kidding. Jesus, some people, holy. It's literally it's a minute, just over a minute away before we get going. People need time. Because of course 25% race does mean different strategy as well. It will be a different strategy for many drivers because bro, this guy in chat, holy. If you guys could ever see the tier 2 chat, absolutely. Bro's now claiming it's a joke. Holy. Tonight is wild. Let's be honest, tonight's been wild. Oh, chat never makes me, it always makes me happy. It always makes me laugh. We're going to get going in the next minute. I know it's been a long night. I know a lot of you guys are hoping that the racing will hopefully be finished at some point. Maybe we'll go throughout the night. Maybe, 10 a.m. tomorrow we'll still be racing. Who knows?
I'm alright, places to be.
Yeah, places to be. I've got nowhere to go, but places to be anyway. And that place to be is my bedroom. But and that's for sleep.
Would that be a move? You're not in your bedroom right now?
Yeah. No, mate.
Really?
No, I'm on the ceiling of my bedroom. No.
Well, that's still in your bedroom, technically.
Yeah, I'm in my hallway. I'm not loved. We're about to get going. Should be getting going now. Got to ping everybody again. The amount of pings I have to send to people tonight, there's going to be like 50. Holy. People. Only 10 drivers. We started with 15. We've only got 10 now. But we're about to get going. I can hear the little ding 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 in the background. And here we go. Get racing. It is 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. And away we go here in Canada once again for the restart. It is an 18-lap race, and it's a good start from Giovanni Galeotto. He ultimately gets away pretty nicely. And also, so does Murphy. He gets an incredible start away from the line as well, because he's up to P3. You can see Murphy has gone to the soft tyre, so changes in tyre compound. Some drivers not happy with what they started with, and so they're going to fresh compounds now. So some changes there, as you can see, as Giovanni still leads out of Sector 1. He holds on to his lead even more. The penalties will be added, by the way, from the previous race. The penalties will be added onto this race, on top of any that they get during this race. Heading down through the right, left, still Giovanni leads very comfortably off of lap 1. Very comfortably leading in this race.
Something we need to remember as well is that of this top leading sort of top 5, Nika-san and Micromash both have 0 penalties. The other ones do have penalties. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic that develops. And I think that's the reason that Murphy's gone onto those soft compound tyres. It's because that he is going to try and build that gap up in the lead. Nika-san is going to try and hold everybody back because Giovanni Galeotto also has a penalty. So teamwork will be at play for SET. And we'll see if it pays off come the end of these 18 laps. But it's a very different dynamic that the drivers have got to contend with. These tyres will go off quicker. They will still have to do at least one pit stop in this race. And so I believe it's really interesting that Giovanni Galliotto has gone onto those hard compound tires. Whether he's going to stay on them for as long as he possibly can, maybe he's holding out for a late race safety car, is something that we will find out. But he's the only driver on those hards, which means that he's at a disadvantage to Murphy, as Murphy just stays in behind Galliotto, defending quite nicely, and Murphy with a slide on the exit. But he and Nika-san will want to get past. And DRS, for the first time down this spurt, this back straight, this should give the advantage. It should hand the advantage to the Ferrari drivers. Murphy clicking it open now, closing to the outside. He's going to get ahead of Galliotto. Can Nika-san get ahead? No, he's miles behind. He's actually more under pressure from Giggs than he was to Nika-san behind. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, to Galliotto ahead even. That's what I meant. But Murphy takes the fast lap of the race.
Murphy, very fast. But remember, he's on those soft tyres at the moment, which is, I think, making the biggest difference. Only 2 drivers on the softs, and that is Murphy and Jejo at the moment. And both of them, Murphy, not much faster than Galliotto, pretty much equal with Galliotto, Nicholson, and the drivers behind, while, Jejo struggling to keep up. So, there's a bit of a difference here that even on the soft tyres, it still isn't working out fully. And there goes Giovanni Galliotto. And once again, he retakes the lead of this race. Not even a lap later. Not even a lap after losing the lead. You can see some battling going on behind. Z6 coming round the outside. Big dive bomb from Giggs, by the way, on the man of Nicholson. There goes Murphy. He's made his way back by as well. We've got some side-by-side action. Maybe Nicholson's going to try and make a double move, as Giovanni Galliotto, by the way, doesn't have DRS. And there he goes, double overtaken. SET now a 1-2 in this race. And it is all swapped round for the team of LR. They thought they were on for an easy 1-2. Z6 also has just made his way past Giovanni Galliotto as well. That's another move. And there's a Haas of Micromash who's also doing the same thing. Giovanni dropping through the order faster than anything. He went from the lead to P6 within just 5 corners, by the way. 5 corners. And there goes Klen as well. He's making his way past into P6. What is happening to Giovanni?
And this is where he's going to struggle to fight back, because those hard compound tyres are harder than any of the other tyres that any of the other drivers on. So he's not going to have that advantage. It's going to have to be raw speed that's going to keep him ahead. Nika-san is playing this perfectly. SET have played this perfectly. And Nika-san will be able to build up that gap between himself and Murphy now. He's going to try to fight Giggs hard for that P2 spot. 1-2 is still on for SET. And it's looking increasingly likely, as realistically the 2 teams that were quick, or the quickest this weekend, are SET and LR. And with Giovanni Galliotto dropping down from the battle for the lead of this race all the way down to P7, he's struggling now. And I think he will continue to struggle for the rest of this race. But Giggs will try to play this in their favour. He'll try to fight Nika-san and he'll try to fight Murphy. But at the moment, all the cards are in SET's hands.
Also, remember, Giggs has 6 seconds of penalties compared to Murphy with 3 and Nicholson with 0. And so, at the moment, it will be a 1-2, except Micromash. Micromash, still the man who's sitting there, who's going, I could pick up a P2 when it looked like it was out of the chance. Nicholson having a bit of a bad chicane there, by the way. He's backed up Giggs and Z6 and Micromash slightly. All together, here comes Giggs, trying to make a move. By the way, Z6 also has damage on his front wing. Z6 does have damage on his front wing, and I think that's why he's quite fast down the straights. Giovanni just got back past Klen, but Klen's fighting back as well. And so some battling there between the Red Bull and the Mercedes going on. It's not the battling that Giovanni wants, because at the moment he's finding himself struggling. But now Z6 and Micromash might be having a bit of a battle for P4 now, as of course Micromash could be on his way to a P2 finish here tonight and be in the top 2. As you can see, Giovanni tapping the rear tyre of Micromash. Micromash holding out strong and not getting scared by the big scary Red Bull behind him.
But this is the crucial point of the race for Giovanni. He is down and out. The chips are down. Can he fight back? It will be the main question. And from the looks of things, he's not gaining as much time as he would have liked on Micromash, as Giggs is getting very close to the back of Nika-san, who hasn't been able to build up the gap that he wanted to. And the two Ferraris are going to be side by side.
Oh!
Giggs is coming in, and he's gone straight on at the hairpin. Giggs has gone straight on. He's going to lose all the positions. He's down into the back of this battle, P8, as Murphy just squeezed him to the inside line. He had no right to be on the grass, but that's exactly where he went, and that's what lost him all those positions. He's down in P8 now, behind even Tropic, as Micromash gets past Murphy. Murphy's in the pits from those soft compound tyres, and it's all change up at the top. Nika-san leads ahead of Zedjic with Micromash in third. And those three drivers are the top three drivers in this race. It's very interesting. It will be very interesting to see what happens with Murphy for the rest of this race, and also what happens with Giggs, because he's now behind his teammate, Giovanni.
Yeah, and also remember, he's picked up another penalty. He's picked up that 10-second time penalty, which pretty much, as we both know, could also not only rule him out of... he's obviously ruled out of a podium, but he's going to be clearly ruled out of the top 5. And what was looking like an easy 1-2 for LR at the beginning of their day, now is looking like a horrid and absolutely terrible day for them, as they currently stare at the bare minimum of points of P5 and P9. Well, at the moment, yeah, P5 and P9 at the moment.
Well, I mean, they were looking... It's not the fact that this is a terrible weekend. It's just a terrible weekend in comparison to what they could have won. And what they could have had is an easy 1-2. I think the lobby restart hasn't been very helpful for them. But yeah, the medium runners of the leaders are now coming into the pits. Micromash into the pits as well. Klen continues. He's going to inherit the lead of this race with Giovanni Galliotto, knowing that these are the crucial laps. He has to put in pretty much time trial times on those hard compound tyres. This is absolutely vital for Giovanni and for Giggs if they want anything in this race. Nika-san, Zedjic, and Micromash in on those hards, which is interesting. Murphy came in for the mediums, so the strategy split is very, very intriguing, and I'll be very interested to see how that works out. Murphy comes out behind Micromash in P9, so the softs to mediums doesn't look like it's worked at the moment, although he will have the pace at this point in the race. Will he have it later on? That's going to have to be something we'll wait and see.
Are only lasting about 8 to maybe 10 laps, to be fair. So he is really going to have to push those mediums till the end of this race. Remember, he's already done a lap on those mediums, so he'll be looking at sort of 11, 12 laps on mediums. So he's got to save them at first, and he's got to wait till later on. But here comes Giovanni to retake the lead of this race. It's taken him a while to get there. Of course, he is on those hard tyres, which allows him to stay there. His teammate Giggs comes into the pits with Tropic as well, both coming into the pit lane. Still, Scuderia stays out. He's wanting to keep racing at the moment. And now, VMV, P2 and P3, of course, we know they're not going to be there. Murphy, by the way, just making his way past Micromash for P8. But of course, Micromash will repass him again when it comes down to points. And you can see Giggs down to P9 in this race. And he's going to be
But look what tyres he's gone on to.
He's last. He's not going to make it to the end of the race on this.
Softs is a very interesting call. And I think it's just gambling, waiting for a safety car, because that sort of thing comes towards the end of races as drivers become a little bit more scrappy. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and find out. Chat is telling me, or Niall specifically is telling me, that I'm much louder than you.
Yeah, I've changed that.
You've changed that, okay.
It should be changed. If it's not, then there is some odd thing with OBS at the moment, so I might have to figure that out. Essentially, the closest battle we have out on track is for P4, bit of nudging from Murphy to speed Z6 on. We've got Micromash, Murphy, Z6, and Nicholson all part of this battle for P4, and essentially the provisional lead of this race, because Nicholson just took out a second out of Scuderia, by the way, in the last lap. So he's taken a huge chunk out of the VMV driver. He's gone about 8/10 quicker than Giovanni, by the way. So he is finding, about 8/10 to 1.2 seconds he's currently setting. Murphy just set the fastest lap of the race by a comfortable half a second, by the way. That's how much he's just gained, is half a second in the lap time. So, the lap times are coming down. The drivers are getting quicker on these tyres now. So, I guess that's something we're going to have to see as the race, I think, goes on. Big question here now is how much is Giovanni going to lose out to pitting later in this race? I think he is going to go for the soft tyres. Of course, we've seen the soft tyres last about 6 laps in this race. In this 25% race, it will last about 6 laps. So what are we expecting from this?
Well, I think on this game, traditionally, the undercut has been the strongest strategy, although today it's been a bit of an anomaly with Murphy, who did take the undercut, he lost out. He was behind Micromash as they came out of the pits. So this is just a bit of an analamic race, is the term for it, as Nika-san allows Murphy and Jedzic through, heading down the main straight. But I think the overcut could possibly work, I think, for Giovanni, because although he's on the slower tyre at the moment because they're worn, he's got a decent buffer to Jedzic. He's got 15 seconds, which he could easily build back. So he's in a very, very good position to win this race. If Jedzic continues to hold up the two SET boys, and I'm not saying he's slow, I'm just saying that the SET boys, historically, this race have been very quick. Murphy looking to the outside of Jedzic, looking to change that move, and he sends it around the outside. He's up into P4, and he'll be able to start taking chunks out of Giovanni's lead. In answer to the question in chat about the penalties, we have Giovanni has 3 seconds. Murphy and Giggs both have 6. And then Jedzic, Klen, Tropic, and Jejo all have penalties as well. I'm not sure how many penalties, what the extent of those penalties are, as Jedzic actually gets back past Murphy. I'm not sure what the extent of those penalties are, but in terms of the lead of this race, the only ones that really matter are the fact that Murphy's got penalties. He picked up another one here for track limits. Nika-san is penalty free. Micromash is penalty free, which could come into play at the end of this race if they continue to stay behind Jedzic, because regardless of what penalties he has, he has at least 3 seconds. So Nika-san and Micromash are within that. And this race depends on when Giovanni comes in.
Definitely, I do agree, because he's stretching out these hard tyres. We were looking at about lap 12, by the way, for the tyres. So this would be about the point. But Scuderia, we've also got to talk about him, because he's stretching these medium tyres out very far as well. He has lost 4 seconds in the last 4 laps, by the way. But now Giovanni does come in. Let's see where is he going to come out. Let's look to Z6 as the man who is currently leading this group away. A mixed from tyres, few drivers on mediums, few drivers on hards, few drivers on softs. I think we'll be seeing, of course, Giovanni he's going to mediums. Giovanni's gone to the mediums. So an interesting strategy. He is going to come out behind behind this group. Is he going to come out behind the next group as well? I don't think he is, but he is going to come out behind Micromash. P5, so he has jumped Klen, by the way. He has found a lot of time over Klen. So maybe something's working out. Giggs down to P10, by the way. He still didn't get any further ahead. So also the undercut not working out for Giggs either. So, maybe this is the point during during the race where maybe they need to realize the track isn't exactly working, as now Murphy lets his teammate by of Nickerson. Now Nickerson is able to chase after this race win and cross the line first. 5 laps remaining, by the way, of this race. Only 5 laps.
Giovanni sends it down the inside, by the way, of Micromash, and he's up into P4. He's looking racy at this point. There is contact between himself and Micromash, and that allows Micromash to come back. There's yellow flags out because Giggs has gone round, but Micromash is giving Giovanni a good old squeeze into the wall, and it just looks like the Haas driver has enough. Giovanni stays there, and he's on the inside line. He picks up another 3-second time penalty, and they hit the wall of champions. The two drivers have just lost so much time going side by side through the wall of champions. Giovanni picks up another penalty for going side by side through that. That could be his race forward over, especially if he has damage. I think I saw something fly off Micromash's car.
Yeah, it came off of Micromash's, but not his. And there's a driver around. That's Nickerson. Nickerson's round.
the entire outlook of this race has just completely changed as Jojo also goes into the back of Nickerson. So the entire outlook of this race has changed because Nickerson, one of the only penalty-free drivers from that top group, is out of it. Micromash is looking in an incredible position because Murphy and Giovanni Galliotto both have penalties from before. They've got even more penalties now. Zedjic has penalties from before. He hasn't picked up a penalty
Z6
in
will
this
win this race.
25%
As it stands, Z6 will win this race.
Did he only have 3 seconds?
Yeah.
So Zedjic only had 3 seconds. Micromash has lost the position to Klen, who's
He's
been
got
brought
damage
into
though,
this
remember? Micromash has that damage.
It does, and that could be absolutely crucial. So Zedjic is looking in an incredible position. Murphy will want that position back. Giovanni is closing in on the top 2 once again, 1.5 seconds. But 3 seconds is what he's going to have to build to Zedjic. Is it going to be? It's going to be 6 seconds, I think, that he's going to have to build to Zedjic. But I don't mind this strategy that from him. He's gone safe onto the medium compound tyres because the softs would have stretched to the end of lap 18. But the mediums have a couple more laps of leeway, especially because of the amount that he's going to be pushing. And he's almost back into the DRS already of the top 2. So don't count out Giovanni just yet. But I think at this point, Nickerson's race for the win is pretty much over.
Yeah, I have to say, it was a very... We've seen a few drivers, though, make mistakes through that chicane. But I don't think we've seen somebody make a mistake like that, where they just seem to have just gone straight on. Or unless there was, of course, contact or a crash that took place. So maybe there's that. Maybe there wasn't that. We'll have to see as the race goes on. As now Z6 loses the lead of this race. As now Murphy takes the lead here tonight. Which does mean Murphy will not win. There is no chance of Murphy winning unless Z6 gets another penalty. But Murphy, I believe, already had 6 seconds of penalties before this. And he's going to, I think, add on another 3, I do believe. Klen, by the way, Klen is now in the chance for winning, and VMV are looking for a chance of another win this season.
Klen, I think, may have had 6 seconds worth of penalties. It's pretty much guesswork at this point. We will have to wait for the confirmation of this race to come up, but we know that the top, 4 or 5 are in a very good position. Micromash, he's not too far off. If he can continue to maintain this pace, as there's a big wobble for him off the exit of the chicane, if he can continue to maintain this pace, the race is not over for him. He could still be in podium contention because he is still, he's still penaltyless. And I think at the moment, does he hold the provisional lead? Because if Zedjic just got 6 seconds worth of penalties, Murphy's got 9, Giovanni's got 9, and I think Klen's got 6. So I think Micromash does still hold the provisional lead of this race. So don't give up on this. Don't give up on this yet. Don't give up on the Haas driver, because it could all be not over just yet.
Ultimately,
Tropic F1 picks up a penalty.
Ultimately, only
another
2
one
laps.
this race.
Only 2 laps remaining of this race, and Z6, by the way, gets a penalty.
Zedjic picks up another penalty.
Yep.
So I think this could be Micromash winning this race. If he can keep it going, he's improved on his personal best in the first sector. He's not too far behind to that person in chat asking for penalties. It's all up in the air at the moment. At the moment,
3
we've got
seconds for everybody currently in this race.
Yeah. You've got Murphy, Zedjic,
3 wide.
Galliotto.
3 wide into the hairpin they go. Z6 still coming out on top out of the 3. Maybe the medium tyres are starting to go off a bit of wheel banging between Murphy and Giovanni. You know, they haven't been the best of friends. You can't lie, they haven't been the best of friends this race. They've definitely been battling and squabbling all race long, as now Giovanni's hunting down the lead of the race, going on to the final lap. Now with DRS heading down the next straight, they both have it, crossing the line to start the final lap. Still, Giovanni, he's hoping he can get back out in the lead. Maybe he's hoping he can remove a penalty or 2 to possibly win. But as it stands, he finds himself, currently, by the way, Micromash finds himself very far behind the rest of these guys. But Z6 at the moment leading this group of 4 away. Klen got another penalty, by the way. Here comes Murphy down the inside. He goes, oh! Klen is round. Klen half spins it round. leaves it with an Aston Martin passing him, and that's going to be an easy position, an easy 2 places for Micromash now with the penalties. But Z6 still leading away as they come round. They only have a few more corners. There's 4 official corners are left, by the way. Just 4 corners. So they've got a very short way. Now it's 3. Now they're down to just 2 corners left. A straight and 2 corners, the final chicane. As now Z6 is coming down this final straight. He's got to get this main straight down and correct. Yes, he does. He's going to stay out in front into the final chicane, the final 2 corners. Giovanni, by the way, disconnects across the line. Comes Z6. But I'm not sure who has won this, though. Does Micromash still cross the line in first? He only crosses 4th. How far behind? 2 seconds behind. So if you add on Giovanni, yes, that... By the way, I can confirm Giovanni will be behind. Murphy will be behind as well. But Z6 is also going to be behind. So I can officially say, by my notes, the man of Micromash wins here in Canada. If I'm correct by my notes, and also post-race penalties, if I'm correct, it means Micromash now wins here in Canada. This is absolutely crazy, and I do agree with Pietro in the chat. I do agree with you. Awful game. I do agree with you here tonight. The technical problems and game problems have haunted everybody on this year's game. Ultimately, what do you think of that as a race currently as we stand?
I think that was victory for Micromash, 2nd place for Nika-san as well. So I think Nika-san could have absolutely dominated that race. It looks like Legacy Esports wants Micromash to pick up a penalty in the post-race. From the looks of things in the chat as well, this is not over. This race is not over. You're going to have to look out for announcements to see who actually ends up winning this race, because there could be another penalty for Nika-san as well, because I don't know if you were watching. I was certainly watching his rejoin as he came onto the track, and he basically got speared by JJ. But we're going to have to find out.
I do agree.
That was certainly a good race.
I do agree. And this is the order at the moment. Z6 wins with Murphy in 2nd. We know Micromash has currently got the win. Giovanni was 3rd, and this is the entire grid. I'm not going to actually go through it because we know that this is going to change, by the way, as after the race. Ultimately, we had 2 races in a way, which kind of filled one. But who was your driver of the day? Just like out of anybody, driver of the day.
Oh, it's a very difficult one this week. Normally there's one standout, but they all had benefits. I think I'm going to have to go for Giovanni Galliotto, because they all fought back, but Giovanni just fought back stronger than everyone else because he came back into the lead of this race. Jejic also deserves a shout for suddenly appearing at the top of the standings, possibly due to strategy. His fastest lap was 0.6 slower than Giovanni, but he happened to be at the top. So in the end, a decent race for all of the drivers. They've all stuck through it. And so, yeah, I think my call is Giovanni.
I'm going to agree with you on that, actually. Dominance in qualifying, followed by a race that generally was just filled with being unlucky. Let's be honest, filled with being very unlucky. I think Giovanni is my driver of the day here tonight. But ultimately, it is time to say goodbye in this stream. Thank you to everybody watching this absolute appalling race, shall we say, of just general problems with the game. Thank you for sticking with us. Also, thank you to all of the support from you guys, not only on the stream, but all the time in the Discord server, here on the channel, on Twitter. Thank you so much to all of you. It means so much to me, to Cots, to everybody who works so hard on this league. Please think about subscribing, leaving a like. We've just surpassed 100 subscribers. Well. We just surpassed 100 subscribers, so make sure let's try and aim higher. Let's keep going. I think again, shows the absolute amazing support. We only started this season with 32 subscribers. Now we have over 70 more. I believe we have 72 more as we currently stand. So it is absolutely amazing. Also, thank you to our sponsors, Rogue Energy, for sponsoring us for this season. Also, Thanks to all the drivers and managers that do make this possible. It is such an honor to be able to do this, as without them, we wouldn't have any racing at all. So ultimately, thank you guys so much for watching. But before we go, we'll look at currently the calendar for Tier 2. We've just completed Canada round 6. For round 7, officially now round 7, will be Azerbaijan next week, as we should have been having a break week on the 14th. We shouldn't have been racing on the 14th, but we will now, and we'll be going to Azerbaijan, and then we'll finish off the final 4 races in Las Vegas, Austria, China, and Spain to finish off our 11 race season. I hope everybody has had a great day. I will hopefully speak to you soon, Cots, maybe next week, but we will see you all very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good week. Goodbye. Sundays, but here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights.
Humans, what have you learned?
Mate.